Welcome to episode 12 of the Card Combo Show with me, Chocobilly. Okay, so the cards we're looking at today are Dalita, Ramza, got an FFT theme going on here, Ultima Seer, and Famfred the Darkling Cloud. Alright, let's go. So the first card is Delita. So he's got the ability of when Delita enters the field, choose one forward your opponent controls. You may put one of your forwards of the same cost other than Delita into the break zone. If you do so, break the chosen forward. Bit of a mouthful, that one. And then when Delita is chosen by summons or abilities, Delita gains 1000 power until the end of the turn. So it's abilities of either yours or your opponent's, he just gains a K. It's a bit of a strange ability, but pretty decent nonetheless. So the first card I like to run in with would be Exodus. So Exodus is choose one forward you control until the end of the turn. It gains 3000 power, brave, and this forward cannot become dull by your opponent's summons or abilities, and this forward cannot be returned to its owner's hand by your opponent's summons or abilities. If your opponent has received 5 points of damage or more, all the forwards you control gain all the previous effects instead. So first thing of note is that even if you're on 5 points of damage, or sorry, your opponent's on 5 points of damage, you still choose with this summon. And if you cast Exodus and then do something on the stack to then give your opponent a point of damage, again, it still selects it and it still resolves as if they have 5 points of damage. So a little bit of a intriguing information there for you. But yeah, so Exodus, you would get all of Exodus's abilities or effects on Delita, so he'd gain plus 3k brave and all the other stuff, but because of Delita's own ability, he would gain a further 1000 power, so he gains a 4k buff. Now, we can go further down the rabbit hole and combine it with Graviton. So Graviton is whenever you cast an Earth summon, choose a forward, give it 2k. Now obviously we choose Delita with this, but again, we're choosing Delita with another ability. So by casting Exodus and Graviton both on Delita, Delita gains 2k from being chosen, as well as the 2k from Graviton and the 3k from Exodus. Let's go further. Krile. When you cast a summon, choose one forward, it gains 1000 power until the end of the turn. So Krile would give Delita a K, but then Delita would also give himself a K from being chosen by Krile. So for paying 1 for Exodus, Delita has gained all of Exodus's text plus 3000 power from Exodus, 2000 power from Graviton, 1000 power from Krile, and 3000 power from all those guys selecting Delita. So that is a total of 1, 3, 6, that is 9000 power, just from Krile, Graviton, and Exodus being on the field. That's insane. 3k from Exodus, 2k from Graviton, 1k from Krile, and then further 3k from Delita. That's insane. You can go a little bit further with Garnet, cast a summon, all the forwards you control gain 1000 power, so I mean, that's a little less likely to happen given that Garnet's in water, but still, even still, for paying 1 CP and casting Exodus, Delita has gained 10,000 power. That is nuts. Yep, go further down the rabbit hole and cast Hecatoncheer. So, if you combine that with Krile and Graviton and everything, I mean, his power just becomes stupid at that point, and Delita would be hard for your opponent to get rid of Delita outside of outright breaking, because his power would be through the roof. Momody, so if you use Momody's ability to give Delita Brave, then he gains 1000 power buff from that. So if you're in Mono Earth and you've got Eno Crowdown, Delita will already be an 8k, and Momody will push him up to being 9. Cecil, so this is quite funny because Cecil, you would choose Delita to take 4k less damage, and in doing so also buff him by a further k. And then Belias, it's a very tasty ability. You choose him, or you choose Delita to gain First Strike, Haste, and 1000 power, but it's actually a 2k buff from Delita's own ability as well. So, casting Belias and Delita, he effectively becomes a 9k First Striker. Right, now we're looking at forwards where you'll put them into the break zone. If your opponent has a 2 CP forward, then putting Black Waltz into the break zone would be quite tasty, because not only are you getting to break one of their forwards, but you also get any of Black Waltz's effects as well. So your opponent discards one card, choose one dull forward if they have one, deal it 7k, or just choose a nice summon in your break zone, add it to your hand. And Wall. He's not a very heavily played card, but I really enjoy him. If you are able to I mean, your opponent running a 4 CP forward is almost guaranteed, unless they're in some sort of meme deck, but being able to put Wall into the break zone, and dealing 9k to 1 forward, and just breaking a 4 CP forward on their side as well, that's pretty decent. Alright, so Rem. If Rem is dealt damage, reduce the damage by 3000 instead. At the end of your turn, activate Rem. Dull, choose one forward other than Rem, activate it. So she's got a lot of weird stuff going on there, but Cecil. I quite like her with Cecil because combining both her own ability and Cecil's ability means that you can minus 7,000 damage on her, which means that your opponent will have to deal 13,000 in one sitting, effectively, to be able to just take out Rem with Cecil helping mitigate the damage. If you put Minru on there, that's a guarantee. They are just going to have to really struggle to get rid of Rem. Now you combine that with Deuce. Deuce obviously gives Rem plus 2,000 power because she buffs every forward by 1,000, but then job class 0 cadets as well by a further K. So Rem becomes an 8k. You could go one step further with Maria if you wanted, but even then, Rem being an 8k with Minru, Cecil to help stop her from dying, and then why not just throw in Chelinka? So you can have Rem attacking as Brave twice a turn. That won't, well, your opponent would have to deal a decent amount of damage to Rem to actually finish her off, because even without Cecil blocking the damage for her, at 8k your opponent has to deal 11k in one sitting. If not, Minru's just going to wipe it. Obviously you've got to be careful of things like Kusith, but you know Win's got ways of taking him out. Phoenix, so this could be quite funny on your opponent's turn, sorry. You cast Phoenix to bring in a forward. Obviously they come in dull, use Rem to stand it back up, and then either block with that forward or do whatever you're going to do with them. Une, so Une enters the field dull. Une does not activate during your active phase. Basically Une just stands on your opponent's forwards, and she won't activate, neither will the other forward. But, you know, you can add insult to injury and make it so she does stand up and start swinging. Similar sort of thing with Barnabas. If you don't have Luge there to help him stand back up, it's 1 CP for a 9k, which is, at the moment, I think one of the best value for money you can get a CP versus power. But yeah, obviously, if you don't have Lugia there, then Barnabas is just going to go dull. So stand him back up and start swinging or blocking. And Barret, so using Barret's dull ability, deal 4,000 damage to all the forwards your opponent controls. Obviously, you've got the 4 Earth dull, choose 1 dull forward, break it, but I rather miss my chances with doing his 2 Earth and dull, deal 4,000 damage to all the forwards your opponent controls. If you can do that twice with Rem, now you've paid 4 Earth, but you've dealt 8k to all your opponent's forwards. If they've got a relatively wide field, that'd be a pretty good way of getting rid of most of them, I imagine. Mog, just dull, draw a card, so being able to do that twice with Rem and Mog on the field would be quite funny. And then Ramza, dull, choose 1 backup, activate it. So by using Rem into Ramza, you can activate basically anything on your field. Anything that won't become active are monsters. I mean, you could throw, I think it's Doned in there as well to start activating your monsters, but that's just janky as all hell. But yeah, anyway, that segues nicely into the next card. Ramza! Choose 1 backup, activate it. Now, the reason I've gone for Ramza over Nono, the backup, say the backup, there aren't any forwards Nono, but the one that reactivates backups, is the fact that you have to attack with Nono to be able to reactivate something. So this is just, if Ramza's standing upright, he can use his ability to reactivate a backup. So you may be able to do some janky things before you actually go to combat. So Tyro, damage 5, dull, choose 1 forward, it gains 2,000 power till the end of the turn. So you can do that twice if you wanted, on the same forward, or just 2 different forwards. Cindy, dull, choose 1 15 forward, it gains brave until the end of the turn, so you can make it so that a couple of your forwards have got brave before they even start swinging. You can have a brave party if you needed to. Gestalian Empire Sid, so you could effectively double up on any of the counters on any monsters you got, so you can maybe take something out or bounce something. Lightning, so again, you could have some 13 forwards that you want to maybe party attack with, but they can't attack because they've come in this turn. Give them haste, go swinging. And you can kind of combo this with Mog 13 too. Choose 1 card name Sarah, card name Null. It gains first strike or brave till the end of the turn. So you could use Lightning to give haste, and then Mog to either give first strike or brave, or, you know, you could wangle your way around it to do some funny things. And Toe Mage, 1 ice and dull, choose 1 forward, it cannot attack this turn. So having Ramza on the field, obviously Ramza being there would mean you probably want to try and attack with him, but If you can stop your opponent from attacking whilst you amass a forward, you can do it twice with Ramza and Time Mage. Alright, Ultima Seer. So when Ultima Seer enters the field, each player reveals the top card of his or her deck. Each player who revealed a character may place it onto the field. I'm not going to worry about the activated ability at the bottom. So she's a strange card because obviously she can give your opponent more value than what you got. But there are some funny ways to kind of just play around with the card anyway. So Buccaboo, let's say you've got a Buccaboo on the field and you play Ultima Seer, provided your opponent reveals a character and they bring it onto the field, well, they have to bring it onto the field if it is a character, they immediately have to discard 2 from Buccaboo. Theoretically, you could do this your turn 1, but that would be a bit scorched earth, and I don't think you want to anger your opponent that much turn 1. Similar sort of thing with Black Knight, is you could have Black Knight on the field, you play Ultima Seer, if they bring in a forward of cost 4 or less, it gets broken immediately. Geomancer, so using Geomancer to look at your top card before you play Ultima Seer, so you can kind of see what's there. Maybe you don't want to, and you want to wait another turn or draw that card and then play the next card. Similar sort of thing with Oracle, you play that, you look at your top 2 cards and you can return them in any order you want to both the top and bottom of your deck, so you can look at your top 2 cards, oh, they're summons. If they are summons, that means that the chances of the next card underneath those being a summon is fairly low unless you're running a high summon deck, so having Ultima Seer played after Oracle will be quite a nice way of just hopefully getting a character down. And similar sort of thing with Moogle as well. I think Moogle is the card that can shift the most cards around from the top and bottom of your deck. Because look at, basically when Moogle 12 attacks or blocks, look at the top 3 cards of your deck, return these to the top and or bottom of your deck in any order. So being able to look at the top 3 cards of your deck, even on the attack, is pretty powerful because you can see what's there, and I mean, looking at the top 3 cards of your deck, the chances are there's going to be at least a couple of characters there, one of which should hopefully be some value onto the field. Okay, so Famfrit the Darkling Cloud, one of the most controversial cards in the game. He is very, very powerful. Some people say he's quite a toxic card and abusive. He is and he isn't. He can take out a forward even if they're protected. You can cast it and not have a forward to break, but your opponent's got one. It's just very, very powerful. But at the end of the day, I feel that there are ways of cancelling Famfrit. And there's also ways to kind of work it in your favour as the recipient of Famfrit. But yeah, to cast Famfrit, so you could use Porum on your side. So you cast Famfrit, Porum goes away, you get Famfrit back. That's the classic tried and true tested combo there. Idolus, I had a deck with these guys in, which was a case of Famfrit with Porum on the field, get rid of your opponent's forward, get rid of Porum, you get Famfrit back, you cast Famfrit again, get rid of another of your opponent's forwards, and then you cast Famfrit a third time with Idolus, getting rid of your third opponent's forward. Obviously you don't want to do something like that when you've got a field full of forwards, but it's a funny way to get rid of 3 of your opponent's forwards for what would effectively be 4 CP and breaking Idolus. And it's worth noting that Famfrit would then be removed from the game, so there's no way of getting him back. Cloud, so you could Famfrit away your own Cloud and one of your opponent's forwards, and then when he goes into the break zone, remove the top 10 cards from your deck, from the game, and bring Cloud back into the field, and hopefully his entry ability will kill something as well. Luna Freya, so you can just take something out on your opponent's turn, and one of your forwards, just put Luna Freya in the break zone, bring it back in. There's plenty of enter the field effects that could be used, but obviously it's worth noting that Luna Freya doesn't bring in light or dark forward, so you can't use it with something disgusting like Veritas, but I mean even then, it's just during your opponent's turn when a forward other than light or dark you control split from the field into the break zone, play it onto the field dull, so provided you don't want the opponent, that forward, to be blocking, it could even be something like 7 called Sephiroth. You've broken your opponent's forward, you've broken Luna Freya to bring Sephi back in, your opponent discards 2. That's pretty grim as well. Very Old and Death Gaze, so you can get rid of Very Old, get rid of one of your opponent's forwards, and then Death Gaze comes in and steals another one. Well, I say steals, not steals, but like removes it from the game whilst Death Gaze is on the field. So getting rid of 2 of your opponent's forwards, pretty good. And Mirror. Mirror is a funny one because when a FFCC character other than Mirror you control is put from the field into the break zone, you may search for one category FFCC character of the same type and add it to your hand. that effect will only trigger once per turn. So it does mean that you can, if you've got some other FFCC character or forward on the field, you can fanfare it away as well as one of your opponent's forwards, but you can go and search another one. What's also funny with Mirror is the fact that you can make your backup a forward as well, and just use that as the sacrifice for fanfare. Why we do that, I don't know, but maybe you've got some sort of, it could be with the Tom Betty, which I think it draws you a card when she leaves the field. But then you can also go find yourself another FFCC character of that same card type. And there we have it, everyone. Thank you ever so much. Let me know what you guys are thinking of these videos. Any suggestions, both positive and negative, really want to hear them, seriously. Just put them in the comments below, or if I've posted this on like Facebook or Twitter, pop it in the comments there as well. And I will see you guys in the next video.